Right, so I've been putting this video off for like a month now. Not really sure why. I think at first it was because I was in the NHS and it would have put that at risk. I think then it was just because I wasn't sure what reaction I was going to get, still at. But after scattering my granddad's ashes today, I've realised that, shit, this is happening. This has happened, and it ain't just happening to me. You know, today it was like, yeah, this is real. So I can't keep quiet. I just can't. What has happened to us is happening to so many other people, and I need to let the people in my network know what is going on. And again, I'm not sure what the reaction is going to be, but if I can make one person, you know, just have a second think about what it is they're being told is happening, then that's good enough for me. Because it'll save people's lives. So as many of you will know, my granddad died about a month and a half ago now, on the 18th of October. He went into Pinderfield Hospital on gate 43 with unknown sepsis. He was ill, but he was okay. My granddad, if you knew him or you knew anything that I shared about him, he was a healthy man, a very healthy man. The only ongoing health issue he had was dysphagia, and it's nothing life-threatening or anything like that. It was only 6 months ago, at age 85, that he fucking laid a carpet on his own. Like, he was well, he was fit. He went into hospital again. He was ill, but he wasn't, we had no idea when we sent him in that he wasn't going to come back out. At first it was all pretty normal. We were allowed to see him. He was ill, but he was talking and he could hear fine, and it was alright. We had like quite a lot of hope. Like, it was just like, oh, he's just in the hospital, he's just getting better. At this point I was checking DNR. I was checking for a DNR on his notes, because I am aware at the minute in the hospitals there is a complete misuse of DNRs amongst the elderly and the disabled. And that's not a conspiracy, that is just like blatant facts. It's on Age UK's website, there's articles by The Independent, The Guardian, there's loads out there about how the DNRs are being blatantly misused. So it was something that I was checking up on. There weren't anything there. And then all of a sudden my granddad got moved to a side room as they were suspecting COVID. So we were like, shit, right, okay. We were a little bit like, whoa. He had a COVID test. It was negative. They gave him another COVID test. That was also negative. He was tolerating the oxygen levels well. I mean, his saturation levels were up and down, but he was tolerating it. He was stabilising. At this point, he was nil by mouth because of his dysphagia, which is like understandable. They were saying he needed to be reviewed by salts. Again, I took that for a few days, but salts cannot assess a patient that has a mask on their face. Like, you just can't do it. So yeah, he was moved to the side room. Couldn't see him. We were checking up every day. We were faced with lies, which I can't go into detail because it would just be so long to just explain everything that happened, but just lies, incompetence, ignorance, and everyone can come at me with understaffed and overworked. I don't care. I do not care. When you go into that job, no matter what level you are, you go into that job with a duty of care. Okay, that being the patients and the patient's family. And whether that means, you can't always be like ringing the patient's families all the time, but when you do ring them, you treat them with respect. Okay, so please, however you take this video, do not come at me with they're understaffed and they're overworked, because I was one of the understaffed and the overworked. Okay, and I know many others that are understaffed and overworked, and they still treat people with integrity and respect and dignity. Okay, so he was in the side room. All of a sudden, so he was checking up at this point, a DNR suddenly appeared. Out of nowhere, hadn't been discussed, we hadn't been told about it. It was on the same night that he was moved to an actual COVID ward. That night, that day, prior to that night, he had signed a DNR. Okay, now, I was an NHS professional, and professionally I would not have deemed him to have capacity to sign a DNR, considering he was profoundly deaf. He had not eaten or drank in 4 days. You're not, but they did. They deemed him to have capacity. He signed it. To this day, I still aren't sure if he knew what he was signing. I'm still not sure. It appeared. When I contested it, I was told, oh, they did discuss it with you, doctor discussed it with you. They didn't. It was blatantly lying. That had been wrote on his notes, a legal document, blatantly lying that they had discussed it with the family when they hadn't. Okay, at this point, complaint had gone into PALS, I'd spoken to unbiased medical examiners, I'd spoken to the head of the board at the elderly medicine in the Midwest Yorkshire Trust, I'd spoken to my granddad's consultant that was overseeing his care. Now, he wasn't a specialist in the area, but he was overseeing his care, and he himself said, I don't think your granddad has COVID. If I put money on it, I don't think he had. Many other people, I don't think they have COVID, but we have to take precaution. Okay. My granddad was now on a complete COVID ward. He was in the amber area. Still no biomarkers, still not drank or eaten. This ward 27 at Pinderfield Hospital, I can only describe that place as I don't like it, because I don't like describing it as this, because the hospital has always been my dream place to work, but from what I've experienced from that gate at Pinderfield, I can only describe it as a prison. The way they were treating us, the way they were treating my granddad. I got him an iPad so that we could Skype. They wouldn't facilitate. They were rude. They were aggressive. They were non-informative. They were incompetent. On day 6, they eventually put an NG tube in my granddad, and that was because I threatened to sue. Because he had now gone 6 days without any nutrition or hydration. So yeah, on the 6th day they put one in, but that was because I threatened to sue. Now, by then it was too late. He had already developed AF, which is it is an irregular heartbeat caused by dehydration of the heart. A direct correlation from their negligence. Now, again, I can't go into too much detail, but there was so much incompetence. My granddad then, the day before he died, had a heart attack. To this point, I still don't know how bad it was, how long it lasted, anything like that, because we were told that is not a relevant question. How do you even contest that? What do you even say? So he was given 2 hours to 2 days to live. My dad was allowed to go in and see him, no one else, just my dad. A lot of you might think, oh well, at least your dad got to go in and see him. No, it's not, because it's so inhumane that in order for my brain to make that connection that my granddad had now gone, I had to see him dead. There is nothing humane about that. There is nothing humane about that, about letting people die on their own. So my dad went to see him, realised his hearing aid wasn't even working. How long his hearing aid hadn't been working and how long he'd not been able to hear, I have absolutely no idea. Who fucking knows? Because when we saw him in the mortuary, we noticed a big chunk of his ear had been missing. That is how much they've been fucking with it. I have no idea. I honestly have no idea what happened to that poor man in that ward. I really don't. So my dad got to see him. We said, if he looks like he's going to deteriorate more and he looks like he's going to go, please call us, please let us know. He said, yeah, okay. We then... I rang up that night to just see how he was. The nurse who spoke to me had no idea that he was dying. No idea. She said he's doing fine. She started going on to talking to me about constipation. She had no idea that he was dying and that he was now on end of life care. That was so traumatic, I cannot even explain. I just accepted that my granddad was going to die, and now I was given this false hope that he wasn't, due to incompetence. Incompetence or some kind of evil agenda, I have no idea, but it wasn't fair. So okay, that happened, and I rang up the next morning at 9 o'clock for an update, and they said, I'm really sorry, but he died 20 minutes ago. And that was that. Just like that. They saw an opportunity, they got him to sign a DNR, and they took it. And despite the 4 negative COVID tests that he had, you can only guess what went on his death certificate. So it was A, heart attack, B, COVID pneumonia. COVID didn't kill him. It didn't kill him. It didn't kill him. Their excuse where the tests are only 70% accurate. Okay, that's fine. If the tests are only 70% accurate, then why are we sending every Tom, Dick and Harry to go get tested? And why, if you get a positive test, can you not contest that? You know, these PCR tests, no wonder they're all coming back positive when they're zooming in. It's like 70% to find the antibody. Like, I can't even... So then it was a fight for the funeral. It was a fight to see him. Luckily we were able to see him in the mortuary, but we weren't meant to be. It was a favour that, you know, that someone, luckily, it was a blessing that someone gave us. But we weren't meant to. When we tried to contest the death certificate, we spoke to a medical examiner who was supposed to be unbiased, and she was supposed to like fight our corner to the doctors. She didn't. I have a video call of, oh my gosh. Anyway, she tried to bribe us. She said, if I let you see your granddad in the mortuary one last time, will you accept the death certificate? That for me was all I needed to know that something else other than that what we're being told on BBC News is going on. That is how desperate they are to get COVID on the death certificates. Okay? We got very lucky with the funeral. Very, very lucky that we found an amazing funeral director that would let us have all our wishes. But the majority of them aren't doing it. And the majority of people are dying alone, like my granddad did, in a hospital bed, not knowing what is going on, without their family. And then their family are having to grieve without being able to see him, without getting any closure, without knowing what the fuck is going on. Okay? And it's hard posting this because my dream job since a little girl is being a nurse in the NHS. And because of the insight that I've got from my granddad's treatment, I had to leave my job at the NHS because my moral compass was just so off that I couldn't be there. I couldn't be part of... I'm not claiming anything other than what I've experienced, but what I experienced, I could not be part of. Okay, so... Again, I'm not really sure what reaction I'm going to get from this, but I just needed to let people know that this is happening, and it might not have knocked on your door yet, but it will. It will knock on your door. And when it does, just be aware of it, because, you know, that bit of knowledge could give you that little bit of extra fight, you know, to look after your family members. But yeah, check your elderly family members' files for DNRs. You know, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be there. You know, from an objective point of view, I agreed with my granddad's DNR, but that doesn't mean that the practice in which it was carried out in was right, never mind professional. It wasn't humane. Okay, so just check the files for DNRs, and if they're there, question them. Okay? And just think, please think, you know, when they're putting the statistics on the news, read the fucking thing underneath that says any cause of death within 28 days of a positive test. They're not what they're saying they are. I don't know what they are, but they're not. The statistics are not what they're saying they are. Yeah. I just needed to share it because today, you know, scattering his ashes has made me realise that, fuck, this has happened. This is real. It happened to us. It knocked on our fucking door, and it killed my granddad. And yeah, just think, because it's happening. It is happening.